So I guess Gavin Newsom breaks with Democrats on trans sport participation. Snow.
A lightning rod element of that support changed Thursday on the governor's own This Is Gavin Newsom podcast with conservative guest Charlie Kirk, who asked this point-blank question.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
Newsom also expressed sympathy for all the issues and emotional stress transgender people must go through.
So the funny thing is, Lady Jane, are you saying that this is because he's not really trying to get that, get out of California, kind of like becoming like presidential?
But does see transgender women in sports a question of fairness to the biological females. So now there's likely to be a battle for middle ground, but backlash from within his own party came quick, with the California Legislative LGBTQ caucus saying in part, "We woke up profoundly sickened and frustrated by these remarks. Until Donald Trump began obsessing about it, playing on a team consistent with one's gender has not been a problem."
Wow, let's hear that again.
Like, you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
right,
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
but like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that.
What? I mean, you're right. I mean, he's not wrong in this sense. Okay, look. No one should treat people unfairly. It's not a Catholic position to talk down to people, but you also are doing someone no favors if you encourage them in a delusion, or if you are not honest with them that they're on a path that will lead to their eventual destruction, either spiritual, physical, or mental. And so, I'm sorry if you're talking to people who have tried to do mutilating surgeries or who have this idea that they can change the chromosomes in their body, or that, that not changing the chromosomes in their body still makes them a completely different sex. It's kind of, maybe not a nice thing to do to someone. So I understand what he's saying. And I think the idea that you certainly treat people with respect, you certainly should show no violence to them. You should not jettison them from society. I'm not saying any of that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean they get to play in sports, with women and potentially harm them or cheat them. So there's that. I don't know. It's just hard. It seems like it's hard for the left to be able to speak the truth in love. That's a very Christian concept, to speak the truth in love. That to be loving to someone isn't to lie to them. It isn't necessarily to go along with what they say. It doesn't mean you have to be brutally honest either. And some things are better left unsaid. It's called wisdom. But to think that, I have to just agree with everything you say and go rah to everything you want to do because otherwise I'm being hateful. That's not a Christian understanding. It's not logical. It's not what built Western civilization either, right? There's something much richer to say you have to be cruel to be kind sometimes. That might, in other words, it's never nice to be cruel. The idea of that axiom is to say it might feel cruel for me to do what's the right thing for you, okay? But there is right and wrong. And the problem with the leftists is everything's relative. There is no right or wrong. It's what you feel. It's how you see it. It's your truth, so to speak, right? It's not, it's not that there's any, anything true, but that's not, we talked about, in a way, President Trump being like Pilate. And we can end maybe with this, which is this, Fletcher. Pilate, which I don't think Trump is. I think in that moment he seemed to be like, I think hopefully he won't be like Pilate, because ultimately Pilate suffered from a lack of awareness of what he was dealing with. And, he thought he could reason with these people. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem for him is that he was a relativist. Remember, he said to Jesus, "What is truth?" Right? Jesus says,
right.
This is a truth. He said, well, what is truth? Like, there is no right or wrong. It's only who's in power. It's only about what's expedient. That's kind of what I take that scripture to mean. We can
let us know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe.